Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to another video featuring my 1984 Porsche 944. That's my weekend ripper slash track car build, and it is inoperable right now. So it is sitting over here with a car cover on it in my new home because it was running beautifully, and I parked it at my new house. I was excited about taking this thing out on the weekends, and about the third day into having the new house, it wouldn't start. Now, it seemed like a dead battery at first because I got a few cranks and then it just wouldn't go anymore. Got some clicks. Went ahead and grabbed my jump box, kept cranking it, wouldn't start. And then I went ahead and a few weeks later probably tried to jump the DME slash fuel relay, and it was not that problem. So the DME fuel relay was working, fuel pump came on, I'm getting a bounce of my tack. And I just kind of gave up at that point because it's so hot out. I had so many projects, pushed it off to the side, put a car cover on it, and now it's time to see if we can get this thing running. So I'm gonna go ahead and push it out of this area and see if we're getting fuel and spark and go from there. So let's dive into this, see if we can get this car running today and maybe take it out. After a fun struggle, I got the car in a good position where I'm starting to get a little shade, and that'll become more shade as the day goes on. Now, I did pull the battery because I wanted to throw it on a charger. It has zero charge, and I'm hoping it will charge up. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and play around with getting things set up. I may have to go down and buy a battery. Don't know if that one's going to even be able to jump. So we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. But right now, what I want to do is, I had picked this up a while ago. It's a basic fuel injection service kit. Now, if I recall right, there are no attachments in this kit that fit directly up to that. So we're going to have to make it work. And I remember I had used this one time before when I had that big vacuum leak and I was trying to figure out where my problem was occurring. And I had great fuel pressure. And I got to be honest with you, I can hear the fuel pump coming on. So I'm suspecting our fuel pressure is going to be good, but we want to cross off everything we can. And this should be pretty simple. So this is just a gauge. I'll go ahead. I think I have to use this fuel line because it looks like that is the one I used to kind of go over our piece here. So we're going to go ahead. This is a little cover bolt here. And then we'll have a threaded end there that we can slide that hose line over and then hook up our gauge and get some pressure. See if we're getting around the right pressure. And if not, then we got to start looking at fuel regulators, fuel pump, all that type of stuff. But we can at least cross that one off the checklist if we do have fuel pressure. And we got some fuel, so that's good news. And we got pressure, so pretty sure this is not going to be our issue, because this car has been sitting for a long time. So it's been probably a month and a half now. And if it still has fuel pressure, that's probably not gonna be our problem, but we're gonna test it anyway since we've got our gauge all set up. I'm gonna go ahead and put a clamp on here so we can get this around here and clamp it down. As I got the battery on the charger, it looks like it's taking a good charge, but for the meantime, I went ahead and grabbed the battery out of my lawnmower. And yes, it is the same size of what I was using. And if you didn't know, I found a lightweight battery alternative, and it happened to be a lawnmower style battery. And yes, it does work. I haven't had any issues with it. The reason why it died is because there's some sort of draw and this car has been sitting. So other than that, it's been great. But I'm gonna run a jumper from the truck to the car just so I don't have any issues starting it over and over again as we run these tests, because that lawnmower battery didn't have that much charge as it was. So let's go ahead and see if this will work. Check our fuel pressure, like I said first, then check our spark, and we'll move on from there. Well, as you guys saw there, we had plenty of pressure at the fuel rail. In fact, it blew off the fuel line I put on there. I thought this was going to be a great tool for me to hold on to, specifically for the 944, and I still think it will be. I'm going to have to pick up another fuel line, maybe something a little bit stronger, but it seems like that can connect well for future testing on this fuel rail. But for now, I'm going to move on to testing spark. And if we've got spark, we're going to move on to these injectors because something just isn't clicking right. It seems like it wants to turn over. There's been a couple of times where it's actually sputtered a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on these injectors too. I'm thinking there might be a little clog. This car has sat, like I've said, and it's not my daily driver. So it's not something I start every single day. With crappy fuel out there, that is definitely a thing. It could have some dirt built up in there. So let's go ahead and try a few different things. If we've got to pull this fuel rail, that'll be the next thing as well.
For some reason, it did not show up on film, but there were little glimmers of spark that were going in and out, but nothing steady.
All right, now that I know we got spark, let's go ahead and pull this fuel rail. It's pretty easy. I did try tapping the injectors. Ain't got nothing, but I'm thinking there might be a clog in these injectors. A lot of people chimed in. I posted on Facebook and said they've had this issue before and it was stuck injectors. So this car doesn't get daily driven, so it's definitely a possibility. Let's go ahead and test it. This is only held in with a few bolts, so it should be pretty easy for us to get out, or at least lift up to look at. Is that it? There was supposed to be one more right here, but I think that's all we had in there. It looks like it's gonna lift up. Got a couple of washers I wanted to hold on to. And you can see that injector is working. Well, guys, it's a few days later, and I actually got the car to start up, but I want to go through some of the things that I did. Now, I didn't record this stuff because, strangely enough, I got bit by a wasp on my lip, and my whole face swelled up. I could barely talk right, but I was able to work on the car, and that's what I did. I ended up spending my time working on the car, but you guys got to see I went ahead and pulled the fuel rail. Now, I didn't show this, but there was fuel down in the injection areas, and so I felt like those were working. I went ahead and made sure each one was opening and closing, so tap those with a screwdriver. A lot of people mentioned that in forums. Those injectors could get stuck. I really didn't feel like that's what it was because this car didn't work from one day to the next, which is a very strange circumstance. So I moved on from that, ended up putting the injectors back in, and then went on to testing the spark. Now, you guys got to see where I was testing the spark, and it did not look like any spark was occurring, but strangely, when it went to start and stall out, I was getting a little bit of spark. So that little piece of plastic with the light in it would glow up. And I didn't catch it on film, but it would glow up a little bit and then go away. So I realized I had spark, but not all the time. It was very, very strange. So after that, I went ahead. This is the part where I did not get to record it all. And I sprayed some starter fluid into our throttle body here. Went ahead and started it, and same thing. It would start and just stall out just like it was doing on its own. So I realized at that point, do I have a fuel issue? Even though it didn't seem like I had a fuel issue. Got back on some forums that night, and the next day I jumped out here and said, let me go back to checking the alarm system for some reason. So in the back of my head, I had a feeling it had something to do with something cutting off the spark or fuel right at startup, because it just seemed such a strange occurrence. So I went ahead and sure enough, pulled off my alarm and put some wires, jumped them. Now I've got them cut right now because I'm going to go ahead and permanently do away with this alarm. So the alarm, which is sitting right over here, looks like this. This is the little plug-in for the alarm. Not every 944 has an alarm, but mine did. And this alarm I wanted to eliminate anyways, because this is a track car. Didn't want this in here. Anything I can get rid of, I wanted to eliminate. Completely forgot about eliminating this until now. So I went ahead and jumped the wires. So I'll put a diagram on now. just so you guys know what you can jump. And you just basically take some wires and jump them between those. You're gonna want to unplug this box when you jump them, and jump them like that. So you go ahead and jump them into the plug. It fired right up. Then I had some issues with the alternator not charging, and that is why I went ahead and cut these wires. And right now I'm in a strange circumstance where I can get this thing to start, but you have to touch the black and red wire here before putting the keys in. Then you can start it up, and then you can take those off. Kind of a strange, but I think cool thing, because what I can do is wire up a switch, kind of like a shut-off switch, so it would deter people from being able to steal this car if they don't know they've got to flip that switch, turn the ignition, and flip that switch off. So I might do something like that just for fun. Or I think the other route you could probably go, what you probably could do is get an accessory wire, meaning a wire that becomes hot once you turn it to the accessory slot on your keys, and that would basically then power everything up. And it would allow this thing to start, and then when you turn the car off, it wouldn't send any power. Because right now, I'll show you guys, if I touch these two wires, I do not have my key in, you'll see it'll actually turn on accessories. So you see there? So if I kept these plugged, or this thing hardwired, my battery would die. Also, for some reason, when you have these hardwired, the alternator doesn't want to work. I'm not sure why. That's kind of a strange one to me. So I'm going to go ahead and probably hook up a switch, like I said, where I flip it on, start the car, flip it off once the car is started, and I've just got to remember to flip that off. I think that would be kind of a cool addition as an anti-theft. So kind of replacing the alarm as an anti-theft type device. And I'll probably mount it somewhere where no one would really see it. I would know it's there. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and start the car up. I also went ahead and cleaned it today because I took it for a drive, and I haven't been able to take this car for a drive in a few months. So it was very, very enjoyable. And I'm gonna go ahead and start it up for you guys, and I'm gonna take it on another drive on this Saturday. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, you guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.